in our boy David Quadrelli from Canucks Army, Canucks Conversation. Quads, before game one, Oilers fans looked at the ref report and saw it was Steve Kazari and let out a groan, and it was like, oh, God damn it, we're going to have to beat the Canucks and deal with Steve Kazari tonight. Ahead of game two, Canucks fans are singing a similar tune.
Yeah, so with Kelly Sutherland, it goes back years, right? So it really started, I will say it started, and he's from Richmond, so come on, be a Richmond boy. No, he's like trying to dodge those allegations of being favorable to the Canucks, because basically how it started with Kelly Sutherland is, I don't know if you guys remember rookie Brad Marchand in 2011, just punching Daniel Sedin repeatedly in the face and Sedin not really reacting. Sedin got a 10-minute unsportsmanlike conduct at the end of that. I don't know if you guys knew that, because everybody knows the clip. They don't know how it ended. It ended with Sedin getting a 10, and Marchand got penalized as well. But Sedin got it, and then the explanation was that Daniel was unsportsmanlike in asking Kelly Sutherland when he was going to call a penalty. And then he said, right now, and then he threw them both out. So that was where it all started. But then there was stuff in 2013, really big ones that affected the Canucks in the playoffs again. So just a little bit of worry among Canucks fans for tonight's game, especially with how good the Oilers power play is and their record over the last 8 games. I think I sent this to you, Tyler. It's 0-7-1. It's been brutal every time Kelly Sutherland's officiated a Canucks game, and they haven't won in 8 games their last 8 games that Kelly Sutherland's officiated.
Yeah, I think probably fair to assume then we could see the Oilers get a few more power plays tonight. I think just in general, like I know you and Frankie got into a nice spirited debate about the special teams because you said it was a check box, but the Oilers went 1-for-1 with the power play quads. They probably could have / should have gotten a couple more power plays throughout that game, but credit to the Canucks. They knew where the line was and they got away with it. Maybe I'll move away from the special teams and the reffing talk for a minute. With that game, a lot of the conversation has been choke job Oilers blew it, Stuart Skinner, all that. What do you give the Canucks credit for in that comeback victory? What really stood out in their game is like, hey, they're playing well.
Well, that's the thing, guys, is like, let's go back to the preview show I did with you guys where I said, there's going to be a lot of ifs for the Canucks in this series. All those ifs happened, right? Like that was the argument I had with Frank was I literally have them written down on my old cue card right here from when I did this show. So I'll tell you, it was special teams. Can you win the special teams battle? Can you stay out of the box? The Canucks lost the special teams battle, so that's one if that didn't happen for them. But they stayed out of the box, excuse me, avoiding giving the Oilers the power play. The Canucks can hang with the Oilers, if not, as we saw in game one, outplay the Oilers at 5-on-5. So that's what led to success. Was their 5-on-5 game was great in that game. And this is the thing, and I was telling Liam this as well. Our preview right here, you can see it. No joke. Can you see it there? Yeah. Don't let the Oilers D break the puck out. Specifically, that's don't let the Oilers defense get the puck to Connor McDavid. And that was what the forecheck did. This is the conversation I was having with Liam recently, was that when I talk about JT Miller shutting down Connor McDavid, it's not like JT Miller skates as well as Connor McDavid, or he's keeping up with him in the neutral zone and he's bodying him and doing all these things. Guys, how much did Connor McDavid touch the puck? How much did Connor McDavid touch the puck in the offensive zone in that game? That's because the Canucks have identified that, okay, the Oilers' defense is weak, especially that Nurse and Ceci pairing. If you can take advantage of that, make them not able to get the puck out. Like, the Canucks forecheck was giving the Oilers fits all game long in that game. So I give them the most credit there. That's, again, they did everything we wrote down on this card here. If that's going to happen all series long, they're going to be fine. But we know it's not going to happen, right, guys? Like, we know that the Oilers have to be going in and saying, okay, this is where we got hurt. We need to break the puck out with a little more poise. Look, glassing out for Darnell Nurse. Simple Daryl. I've been hearing you guys say it. And I feel for you guys because we were looking back at the goals, and I can't remember specifically which one, but I mean, he was on the Nurse pairing was on the ice for 4 of the Canucks 5-on-5 goals in that game. That's a crazy stat to be throwing out there. And it's history, right? Like, they were bad against Colorado. They've been bad in the playoffs before, that Nurse CC pairing. And I think the Canucks are just identifying that. I don't know where to go from there. I threw it out yesterday, like, get Troy Stecher in there. Troy Stecher can move the puck really well. I really liked that pickup for the Oilers when it happened. I don't know, take CC out, put Stecher in. I don't know. He moves the puck better. He can skate it out too.
They'll never do it.
They'll never do it.
And it's beyond frustrating because, like, It is so abundantly clear who your worst defenseman is, and he's been your worst defenseman for 6 months, and they just will not take Cody Ceci out of the lineup. It drives me nuts, man.
Yeah, he looked like like it looked like it's a flawed pairing, right? Like I didn't really understand how, like, I've heard you guys complain about Darnell Nurse, and I've watched games. I know he's not the best. But I didn't realize how bad his gap control was. Like, it just seems like if you just keep skating toward Darnell Nurse, he'll just keep backing up until he hits his own goalie. Like, he's a big guy too. I don't understand it. I don't understand it when I look at the way he defends. I don't really understand why he has those issues with gap control. Really, it reminds me of Tyler Myers before Adam Foote, Sergei Gonchar came onto the Canucks coaching staff. That's what it reminds me of a lot. Is, the way he just kind of keeps backing up and gives the shooter all that space, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I don't love the Tyler Myers comparison to Darnell Nurse, but I'll take it, Quads. I want to ask you, offensively, do you think it's fair that one line beat the Oilers the other night? Because it just felt like that Dakota Joshua, Garland, and who was the centerman, Lindholm line, they had multiple chances. Obviously, scored 3 of the 5 goals. Garland had the breakaway, and Joshua had a great chance on the power play. That line just seemed to absolutely dominate the Oilers when they were out there.
Yeah, they were really good in game 1 against the Predators too. But I'd ask you this, guys: which line? And I mean, we all know the answer. We've all seen the natural stat trick. There's no line on the Oilers that outplayed their matchup. Every line on the Oilers lost their matchup in game 1. That's what it comes down to. Offensively, yeah, that was the line that drove the Canucks offensively. But historically, they haven't been. That's been the line that can just go win their matchup and just go shut down the opposition, and they'll chip in with some goals. But it's that Miller-Besser line, which really their success in game 1 was literally just don't let Connor McDavid spend any time in the offensive zone. But again, we also saw that Lindholm line up against McDavid as well. I thought it would be a very hard match with the Miller-McDavid matchup, but we saw Lindholm get some minutes against them as well. So yeah, I guess one line won the game offensively, but they needed all 4 lines to win the game, because if even 2 of those lines aren't going, the Oilers might have gotten a goal, right? They might have scored there. They might have scored if one of those lines wasn't going. Whereas, you look at the first 3 goals, those are all on Ian Cole having a really, really rough game. He was really good in the first series, but he did show some signs. He's a little bit older, showed some signs toward the end of the year where it just looked like, okay, maybe he's not going to be in a playoff lineup. I don't suspect any lineup changes for the Canucks tonight. I think they'll go back to Cole. I don't know how it's going to go tonight, but he's been a really good penalty killer for them all year long. So I think they want that in their lineup.
We were talking, when the Oilers were up 4-1, in my head, sitting there in the building, I was like, holy shit, the Oilers might win this game with their C+ effort. I would grade it out to. Canucks end up coming back. They win. Where was that on the scale of the best the Canucks can play to the worst they can play? What letter grade effort was that, all things considered? And are there things you think they need to do better tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you can't make mistakes. You can't go in the box. There were too many mistakes. As a whole, that was a B performance for the Canucks. I would say C+ for the Oilers. With that lead, it was just, to me, it was wow, okay, they're controlling territorially, they're playing well. You get a power play goal, which was going to happen. You can't take penalties against this Oilers team. We all know that. But then you were looking at it and saying, okay, there's a glaring mistake. If you're going to make mistakes, that's going to cost you. So it wasn't so much that, all the bounces went the Oilers' way. It wasn't that. It was that, okay, they got some goals fed to them on a silver platter. And then I would also say some of the Canucks goals could kind of fall under that same category. I've been saying this for the past couple of days. That goal, the Garland goal that Skinner let in, that was the first goal. That was identical to the first goal that Artur Shilov's ever let in his NHL career. He made his debut against the New York Rangers last year, and Mika Zibanejad, clearly knowing it was a young kid in net, faked the slap shot coming up the wing, comes down, and Shilov's opened up his legs, and the puck went through, and it was, you got the sense with Shilov's, it was okay, that's never going to happen again. And it hasn't happened again since. Obviously, there was that Hyman goal that went 5-hole on him, but yeah, it was just, it was tough to see, because look, I've been a big fan of Stuart Skinner. I picked the Oilers to win the cup at the start of the year, hinging on the fact that, okay, you've got this goalie, you finally got the goalie, and it's too bad that it hasn't worked out. But I'm hoping for Stuart Skinner personally. Like, he's a great guy. I'm hoping he can kind of turn it around for him personally, kind of bounce back, right?
Yeah.
And he should. He's done that pretty well, not just in these playoffs, but this season. His bad starts are usually never a bad string of starts. So
yeah, I'm not worried about him at all, to be honest. I think game 2 against the Kings, he had a similar game. I think that third period alone was the worst period he's played this playoff run. That game 2 against the Kings, you seem like not comfortable for the majority of the game, but I just think the mistake on that Garland goal was uncharacteristic. Like, to bite on that so hard.
I think he was clearly rattled.
Oh, clearly rattled, and it was strange. But I wanted to ask you, Quads, like, Seelov's, like, the way he had that third period, like, the Oilers didn't have any chances, but like towards the end, like when it was like the 6-on-5, he did pretty well. Like, for a young guy, like, he does seem quite calm in the pipes, which you've spoke about before.
That was the worst performance we've seen from Shelovs. Like, I'll just be honest with you. That was one of the worst performances I've ever seen from him. I expect he's going to get the net again tonight. I know there's been some talk about Casey DeSmith. I'd be shocked if they went to Casey DeSmith. I think they might be pretty similar goaltenders. And obviously DeSmith had that big game against the Oilers to clinch the Pacific late in the season. But Shelovs had a performance like this in game 4 against the Predators, where he wasn't great in the game, but then the Canucks made a miraculous comeback to win that game in overtime. And then they go back to game 5 in Vancouver, and there's no question it's Shelovs getting the crease, even though DeSmith was healthy at that point. And I think that's where this crease became Shelovs. And then his performance in game 6 solidified it. That start from Shelovs, you guys said it, like, maybe not his best, but made the saves that they needed, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's the Grant Fuhr thing. All you need to do is win the game, make more saves than the other guy at the other end, let in fewer goals than the guy at the other end, I should say. And you're going to get the crease. And I think Artur Shelovs should get the crease again tonight.
Quads, appreciate you hopping on a busy game day. I will chat with you in 2 hours when we do the reverse, and I join you and Harm on Canucks Conversation. Thanks for doing this.
Looking forward to it, guys. See you later.
Yep. What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.